What's up, everybody? Welcome to Shared Screen Special House of the Dragon Mint Condition Day 1 podcast. We got a fuller crew today. We got Vegas We're on Fire. We got Nevin's Island. We got Gino V. Terry. A couple, housekeeping things. We just got a bunch of episodes for She-Hulk, Andor, all that stuff, along with House of Dragons. Make sure you tune into that, and then we'll have socials for everybody below in the description if you want to follow them. But yeah, we got a special episode today for the new season titled Driftmark. Let's just go around real quick. General impressions of the episode. Gino, since you're, you're pressed for time, the internet might disconnect at any moment. What do you think?
Yeah, they told me a certain time, but I thought it was a pretty good episode. Very slow paced with a lot of stuff happening still. So I thought it was there's some scenes that I think were pretty boring, to be honest with you. But I thought the highs of the episode were pretty high. So yeah, those are my general thoughts.
Will you yawn when we get to those parts of the episode in the discussion? Like, it just has like
my internet service provider told me that my internet could go out at any of those moments.
Okay.
Specific times. So
okay. Nick, what'd you think, man? What'd you think of Driftmark?
Great episode. Not too much more to say about it other than the fact that we're probably going to talk about this for the next, now knowing that we go about 5 to 10 minutes more each episode. About the next 3 hours, we're going to be diving into this. So I'm just going to start with just it's a great episode of television. A lot of things are starting to rev up, and there's being some payoff on some past episodes. But most importantly, I feel like we're getting payoffs of this new quote-unquote generation of characters, and as these characters get older, we're starting to see more and more payoff from, I would say, the new season, the midway point, getting these new characters in. We're already seeing payoff from episode 6 come into play, and great fucking episode of television. Oh, it's definitely not 2 minutes. I should not have said that word, but great episode of television.
Chance, we'll just, bleep that out. We'll do the little bleep. But yeah, I thought, Gino, I thought you put it very succinctly. Of not a lot happened, but it's still, for me, I always still was just like on the edge of my seat for most of the episode, especially like the latter half. Something about, Thrones television can keep you engaged when on screen there might not be a lot happening visually, but there's still all the subtext of the interpersonal relationships and things like that, and knowing where we go next, that being the final time jump after this episode, it's Nick, you said it off screen, it's coalescing, man. It's about to come to fruition here, this great conflict that the show is going to be based on. So I can't wait. And it was another great episode of television. Vegas, what'd you think?
I mostly agree with what Gino said. There was a couple moments in the episode where I had to actually stop and rewind because I was zoning out a little bit. There was some boring scenes of just conversations that didn't feel super riveting. But for the most part, a lot of good, juicy stuff did happen. So let's get into it.
Yeah. So like every week, no book spoilers. So, if you know what happens in the future, that goes along for the internet commenters. We're just only talking about the show events and what we know at this moment. And then, we're just going to go beat by beat here. And then, but, everyone here, feel free to jump to whatever you're thinking about at the given moment. But we just got a little, beat by beat here for the episode. But, we started here with the burial of Rhaenyra. Very, very sad, obviously. What we saw her, her limited screen time of the show, especially the adult version, but it's still, you could still feel the impact that her death left, not only on her family but Daemon and just everyone there. What did we think about this scene, and in particular? I want to go with Daemon's response to it, because he was kind of snickering a little bit during some of that. But Gino,
I did want to. That's exactly what I was going to mention. Daemon snickering. I wanted to ask you guys what you thought of that, because I didn't really. Because Daemon is cynical. I know he is. He's very I don't know. He's not as serious, but he's also very like he's not evil, but he's evil at the same time. So I don't know how I felt about that. I mean, I wasn't surprised that he would snicker, but I more want to think of what you guys thought of it because I don't know what to make of it, of his snicker specifically.
Yeah, Vegas.
I can.
Oh, go ahead.
I can hop in on that one. I think the last episode we saw a very almost beaten down Damon, almost castrated Damon. Of just I have no desire to go back to King's Landing. I'm out of the game. I'm just let me get drunk and hang out with my wife and kids and sort of do this thing. I don't want to play the politics game anymore. And then now he's around everyone and again, and he's sort of just screw this noise. I just don't care. And then you see that when Viserys comes up to him, it's hey, bro, come back. And he's I don't know. No, I'm not gonna just come back into this because you want me to. I'm gonna go and hold firm and sort of play my own game. All this sucks. Let's stop pretending this is just the norm and we're all buddy once again, because we're not. And that's just how it is currently. And so when she's gonna go and getting pulled away, he's sort of just screw this noise, in my opinion. Vegas, did you have a different read on that?
I think he was just, he was living a chill life, kind of content with what was going on. And his wife died, and he was probably just snickering because he was like, man, my life just keeps getting more and more fucked up, even when I don't do anything. So, I don't know if there was too much to it. I was a little confused, but that's what I got out of it.
Brett, do you have a read on it?
Yeah, I think part of it is, I mean, Damon himself in previous episodes lamented the quote unquote politicking, and I think in some weird way, Corliss's brother Vaemond, I think his name was, who was kind of giving a eulogy, so to speak, while they're preparing the casket and everything like that. I think he just was snickering at the procedure of everything. You know what I mean? Because Damon, he's a very free-spirited guy, right? Procedure, you don't think of Damon when you think of procedure, right? So I think he just was lamenting that, and like he said in episode 1, people mourn in their own way, and so he probably would not have held that funeral if it was up to him. So that's where I got it from. I see tensions at the funeral again. Rhaenyra and Alicent just staring at each other. Larys is staring at Alicent.
The kids staring at each other. It's everyone, dude. Everyone has drama.
Yeah. Even Rhaenyra going up to her kids and saying, "Hey, you got to comfort your cousins," and they're they're not really our cousins. Just that open secret.
How can I comfort my cousins when my dad just died?
Yeah, it's such an open secret that we'll get into that. Another thing I wanted to talk about that kind of goes throughout the whole episode is the natural lighting. If they did stage lighting or whatever, I don't know, but
it's very dark.
Yeah,
the Battle of Winterfell is the Battle of Winterfell all over again.
This worked.
When they walked on the beach, that's when I noticed it the most. That it was very dark. I had to turn off all the lights in my house so I could see clearly.
Yeah.
Because you couldn't really see much.
That was
interesting.
I felt like it worked more for this because with the Battle of Winterfell, there was so many things happening and you're trying to track. Yeah. Whereas this, it's it was Rhaenyra and Daemon talking or Aemond on the steps, things like that. Very moody and tone setting, and I just thought how bold it was to do that. Instead of CGIing something or casting weird studio lights, I don't know. That's just something I wanted to point out at the funeral as well. Viserys calls Alicent Queen Emma, which I think, as we've gone through this show so far, we've seen the decline of the health of Viserys, and I think it's just a little nugget that his mental state is starting to drift a little bit as well. So wanted to point out that. point that out. Probably not the first time. Probably won't be the last time. And then we get a nice fireside chat with Corlys and Rhaenys. And the big takeaway I wrote here was Corlys was like, names over blood. Names are more important over blood. We see that even at the funeral where Corlys is talking to Jace and Luke, and he's like, he's talking to Luke, and he's like, hey, you're going to be, the heir to Driftmark, like, even though Luke doesn't want it and isn't really in line. What did we think about this scene, names over blood? I mean, does that hold any weight for you guys, especially in this world? Vegas, I'll start with you.
It just shows where his actual priorities are, which is just for his name to be, known in history, not for, the secrets to come out, or he doesn't even care about the fact that they're illegitimate children. He just wants his name to carry on.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a tough little situation because I kind of saw both sides, and not even just like the classic, like, oh yeah, there is like two sides to this, but like personally, if when I think about just like my life and what I want, I'm like, yeah, like I want my family to be happy and everything, but also I like want my life to be purposeful. And back then, the way you had purpose was to get a legacy, whether it be to get your ass on the throne or to even just have a good family that prospers and lives. And he understands with his son, I'm not going to have legitimate children from him, most likely. And so now I need some sort of male successor, and I need my name in the ring, and those illegitimate children have my name. And so, cool, like, let's rock and roll. And it's such a intimate scene, and I like that she just says, no one's around, let's just talk. And it's nice because a lot of Game of Thrones is the cutting edge words and we know but we can't say the thing, but the audience knows the thing and they know the thing, so it's all complicated. But in this situation, it's sort of just like, all right, let's speak plainly, let's go into this. And it's a very conflicting scene, but you get both sides in which way, where as a like outsider, like, shit, I kind of agree with both and understanding what this world is, even though you want to agree with the queen because that's like the right thing. You understand that this dude's entire life has been brought up to be legacy, my name, my house, what I stand for. And it's tough. It's a tough scene, especially coming hot off of a very emotional scene of everybody talking politics and or showing politics just through eye glances and such, to just get everyone to speak plainly. It is very refreshing, but also very deep and sad. Gino, looks like you want to hop in on this one. What you got?
That saying, names over blood, was, and that whole scene where he's speaking to Lucerys, right? That's his full name?
Mm-hmm.
Lucerys, I think?
Yeah.
Those two was very reminiscent of just, made me think of Jon Snow specifically. Because he was a bastard, but he was born under the Stark name, and that's what he stayed with. He wanted to be, he followed the Starks. So that was very reminiscent of how he felt with, name over blood, where he didn't care he was a Targaryen in the end or anything like that. He was still going to be Lord Stark. So that was very reminiscent of that. Made me think of him a lot, especially when Lucerys was like, I don't want it.
Yeah.
So that's what I think of when I think of that scene.
That's an excellent point, Gino. Well put. Yeah, I think it, again, the strength of the writing of Fire and Blood from George R.R. Martin, the strength of the writing of the show to show the complications and intricacies of a character like Corlys, who, by all accounts, fantastic husband, great dad, but he's so narrow-minded in certain aspects of life that really like kind of hinder who he is and who he can be. That he would prioritize an illegitimate heir because of the name versus continuing the bloodline. So again, I just love, even a character like Corlys, who's not a major player, but is still, leaving such an impact, at least on me. We cut to a nighttime beach stroll with Daemon and Rhaenyra. and they're just chit chatting away, talking about life, love, the pursuit of happiness, and obviously, as we'll go along through this episode, this is where this conversation was where I felt like that relationship was for real, only in the sense of, and Damon brings it up. In times past, Rhaenyra was a quote unquote a child, or much younger age, and so with that dynamic, I didn't really know how to feel about it. But now that she's like, a woman grown, and she is consciously like saying like, hey, like we could have been something great, really solidified it for me. I mean, what did you guys think about this scene and that dynamic? Nick, I'll start with you.
What a Game of Thrones-esque scene of the tension super high, the sexual tension super high. You have two characters that have been sort of put astray in this moment, both of them losing their significant other, one being a normal marriage and everything, and then one being a hidden secret affair. And they're able to lean on each other, and with that, the tensions ratcheted up, the moments ratcheted up, and I absolutely love this scene. Vegas, what you got?
Yeah, I think that, long time coming. This was what was gonna happen. I feel like we all knew that. Yeah.
What a Game of Thrones thing to make me support incest. You know what I mean?
Right? These sons of bitches, they got us.
We're like,
I love
yeah,
it, dude. I
we're
love it.
together.
I wanted them together
Wait,
since the
that's
beginning.
her uncle.
But yeah, what are you gonna do? This is that time. What am I gonna? Might as well support it, right? So, yeah, I loved it. I love how it
I
ended.
think they're a power couple.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. It's them finally going in, once again, loading up. It's about getting your stable in action. And last week, I was on this podcast, I said this was a W episode for the Hightowers, where they took some pieces off the board in a big way. And I predicted that this is House Targaryen, they need to load the fuck back up.
Yeah, auto beam hand again. Just I don't like.
Yeah,
again.
by
you have the thing on.
By killing two Hightowers, you got auto back to be the hand, and you took off a couple power players. Basically, you put more power in your courtroom. And so to see them go and be like, I was like, I don't know exactly how they load up, but this is how they do it, is solidifying those Targaryens together, solidifying the dragons together. You got the houses, you got the dragons, you got heirs now, like multiple heirs. And I mean, well, let's be honest, we all know that those children end up going to marry each other, because that's just how this show do, So like they're all sided together in a scene later. Come on, that's
if you think about it, all those kids almost don't even matter, because if they have kids, those are going to be the ones that are going to have claim to the throne.
Yeah, which I mean, that's the amazing and interesting part of this new dynamic that we're being introduced to by the end of this episode, is those two together are Vegas, like, ironically, I believe said it, but they are a power couple. Like, they have so much weight, and the questionability that came from the discussion that it's one of the best scenes of this show thus far that happens between Alicent and Rhaenyra in the fire room is now even put more on top, because we know they're getting their troops ready. They're getting ready to freaking rumble. And if we know anything, next week is going to be even more of this, because episode 9 in the Game of Thrones season is going to fucking bring it. And so I'm super excited to see where we go from this, because now I forget if it was Gino. I'm pretty sure it's Gino who said it. We knew this was going to happen. It's nice to see it finally come to fruition. And now that it has come to fruition, it's like, all right, we know, I'm just excited for the question marks to start popping back up in the show. We knew that Damon and Rhaenyra were going to end up together. We knew that certain people had to get off the board to make room for that. And now that those hows and whys are starting to happen, now we're able to see the game be played in a new way and an exciting way. And goddamn, I'm this episode, last episode, I was a little bit more down on compared to what we got previously. This episode, in which, quote unquote, not a lot happened, so much great fucking dialogue and acting happened, and also just so many good character moments. Now the board is becoming very, very, very well set. to going into these last 3 episodes, and I'm not excited for the show to finish up any time soon.
I know. Yeah, the news that next season's going to film in 2023, like in a few months, and I'm like, oh man, it's going to come out in like 2024. Like we're going to have to wait like 2 years, man, for season 2. That's going to be rough.
Real quick though, you want to know what's coming out soon? Last of Us, and they made sure to have that trailer play before anything else. And god damn it, it would be the House of Dragons podcast, but I did throw the Last of Us being the greatest show on earth, even though 9 episodes come out, and now we have a tease. Fuck yeah, super excited. Trailer looks as good as it looked the day it came out, and I've watched it at least 65 times now. And the show, so the HBO, I'm just saying thank you. We got Succession, we got The Last of Us coming out. They can take their little break and make sure that season 2, this is perfect. And that's going to be when I'm fucking 80. I'm going to be Brett's age by the time the next season comes out. I'll be so old. And so it's okay, though. I think I have this content covered for a bit.
Yeah.
So sorry. Totally just had to, throw my Last of Us bit because I'm the true Last of Us fan between Brett and myself. Anyways, what's the next point? I'm so sorry. I derailed us so
And then
so much.
Aemond claims Vhagar, dude. And I thought that was incredible. I thought that was freaking awesome. Because he's the smallest little boy. Oh, well, he's not. I mean, he's the little brother. Because his older brother's Aegon. It's Aegon and an Aemond, right? And then they have a sister as well.
Yeah.
I think it's Aegon, sister, Aemond. I think that's how it works.
Okay. Yeah. So I thought him claiming the biggest dragon alive right now was really
Kind of
cool.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. But aside from that, I mean, just that whole scene, him claiming it, and then the fight in the caves and stuff like that. Just one thing I want to point out before we get fully into it is, and we can go further in depth on this, is I thought Aemond was gonna be one of the nice ones. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I thought he was
I knew he had some problems. He had he was like the youngest in his line, but he's got severe middle child syndrome. The kid is picked on. He's angry. That's what he felt like to me, and I knew that he was.
That's why I thought he would be more kind-hearted, because he wasn't fully, he didn't have his own dragon. He had a rough time. That's why I thought he would be more understanding of other people. But with all of this happening, then I realized he's just as bad as
a vengeful. Yeah, he's one of those kids that gets picked on and then wants to take revenge.
Yeah.
When I was a wee lad, I'm already the child of this podcast. I get that. But when I was even younger than I was currently, I used to drive a very shitty car, very not a great car at all. 1997 Toyota Camry. The thing broke down on me this week. We don't need to talk about it. Not a super important part of the story. But the second that I got the hands, one night I took my father's midlife crisis out, as we like to call it, a nice 1997 same year Corvette out, convertible, sexy car, And I used to be a very cautious driver growing up. I made sure that I was locked in, turn signal, whole 9 yards. The second you get your hands on something like that, you're an asshole on that road. You're fucking going 80 and a 30. You don't give a shit about pedestrians. You're knocking people over. And that part's not true. But you feel the power. So when this little kid, I'm seeing 16-year-old Nick Evans in this position. When you're seeing this little kid get on the thing, I thought the same thing. He's going to be nice. But for him to sort of big dick swinging moment of fucking I got the biggest dragon, and now you guys used to make fun of me for my car, but now I got this sick ass whip. Are you kidding me? Let's go. I would be such an asshole too. I'm I totally related with him in a way that I feel like we're set up to root for Rhaenyra's kids, especially after losing their father. They just got put in a shit situation, and that in that moment, I'm yeah, but you guys were assholes to him last episode. Of course now he's gonna be screw you guys. I think the reason that the dynamics changed in that season, scene, was because the girls were there, and because they were able to the second that the dude swung on girl, I'm oh, this dude's gonna get the shit beat out of him. Obviously modern day, big no, but fucking even then, hey, you just hit my cousin. Blood is the big no in there, and so he was all right, it's fucking on now. And surely enough, this dude got what was coming to him in the end, and I'm very thankful it did. What a hell of a scene. It's good to see this infighting starting early because they multiple times have discussed the multi-generational conflict between these families that are going to go down, and this is phase one. There's a moment where you see the two kids around the fire at the start of the episode at the funeral, and then I was like, oh, that's kind of cool because that's going to come around in like season 2 episode 7 where they're a little bit older and then they like have a weird moment where nope, this episode they're going at it to go into full tilt, and what a great Game of Thrones moment to go and have a like this brutal and personal where you see both sides and you want certain things to happen, you're rooting for other people, and gosh, just so good. I like I said, like this episode, there was like 3 or 4 moments, but those moments I felt like were just like 12 out of 10 Game of Thrones. Just so freaking good. Vegas, what did you think about this cave scene?
I thought it was a nice little fight scene. You got some action, you got some blood, you got a missing eye now. Yeah, I think that kid, he's definitely that kid that got bullied in school and then goes and shoots up the place, honestly. That's basically what he did. He came out after getting his big dragon, thought that he had a win, and yeah, I mean, he ended up in the end saying, "Mom, it's fine. I got what I wanted."
Yeah,
So,
one of the coolest lines in the episode, to be honest with
literally,
you.
actually, one of the biggest lines that stuck in my head.
And it was so nice they did it twice, having Otto say, like, basically, like, reference back to it when he's talking to Alicent, and it just cemented how like, we really have seen it only a couple times, and mainly episode 3 with Daemon and the battle and with Sea Smoke and everything there, but like how powerful these dragons are and how much they're really worth. We haven't seen too much of that, unless we're talking episode 1, 2, 3. And now that like he's got this dragon, it's like, oh shoot,
we're gonna see how powerful the dragons are, because now that this kid that wants to get revenge on all of his cousins and stuff has the biggest dragon, he's gonna go out there and he's gonna cause havoc. Like, I just have a feeling.
Do you remember what he said, Brett? With the accent and everything?
Who said what?
What Aemon said about his eye and him gaining the dragon. Can you repeat it? Do you remember what he said?
The exact line?
Yeah.
No, I mean, what?
Were you paying attention?
Oh, he's trying to just help him out. Just give this man.
Do not mourn me, mother. I forgot it.
No, like
I may have lost
an eye, but I gained a dragon.
Yeah.
That's so cool, dude. That's so cool.
Yeah, powerful scene.
He said something right before that. He said something like it was a clean exchange or something.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Yeah, very, very mature from him to say that.
So I think the Agar claiming or Aemon claiming Vhagar. Again, we got some. We what? Yeah, we got some. We got some dragon lore last episode at the Dragon Pit, and then we get more of it this episode this week. And I thought that was awesome, just to actually see it come to life on screen, compared to like Game of Thrones, which kind of showcased it a little bit differently. Again, it's never gonna get old seeing Vhagar, like one of like the dragons that conquered Westeros, still being around. It's absolutely massive. Like when Aemon's climbing Vhagar and you see how tiny he is with that shot of seeing the head, like just incredible. And like y'all pointed out, we're seeing now the conflict between this almost third generation of the family, and so which obviously will bear fruit in the future. But I mean, even going back to last week, which was a few weeks ago, whatever, they were buddy, they were playing around in the dragon pit, and now we're already seeing some of that conflict stirring. If more along the episode, Aemond and Aegon are outright saying, hey, like, we know too that these kids aren't legitimate, stuff like that. And so obviously more development has happened. One question I want to bring up is, how did they get Vhagar back from Pentos? Like, is there like a dragon tow truck service, or what I mean?
Like, just flow with the family. I think they just flew with the family.
Yeah, he just flies.
Yeah, but like he's like,
he probably went with the body.
Yeah,
he knows where to go. He knows where to go.
Okay.
He knows where to go.
Yeah.
Also, though, you bring this up, Brett. The moment where the little brother just goes, and it's like, "Who told you this?" Viserys is asking, and then he just goes, "My brother." And then the brother's just like, "Are you kidding me, dude? You just threw me totally under the bus." Even though, like, he looked at his mother clearly.
Yeah.
But he goes, "My brother," and then the brother just goes. It makes one of the most baller moments of this episode. Especially, you normally don't see moments like this. You normally see it from older, wiser, more politically savvy people, but just goes and says, "Everyone knows." And I was just like, "Oh shit, it's happening!" Because there's like 3 people in the room that don't want, that are like, "Shut up, we're just going with it." It's the king, it's Rhaenyra, and it's Corlys, because those are the 3 that care about the namesakes. And like, that's it. Everyone else knows, but is just silent, but kind of wants these guys to be like it's so fucking good. And I can't believe how in just this scene is I go back and rewatch every episode and everything. I'm on a little fall break come Thursday. I'm so excited. I'm probably gonna go sit down Thursday and watch the entire show thus far, because it is so amazing. And this scene is an absolute treat for just Game of Thrones fans.
And then after all that, a mother whose kid was beaten up on the playground comes to stab the other kid.
Jesus.
Kind of crazy.
I was on the edge of my seat for this entire scene, and when she goes and says, "An eye for an eye," I'm gonna, like, she doesn't say, like, someone should take his eye. She's like, "I want to take his eye. Like, I want to fucking make sure that
she
this
went through her
followed
options.
through."
She's like, "Husband,
Yeah.
do it." And he's like, "No." And she's like, "All right, well, I'll get my own guy to do it."
Kristen.
And they're like, "No, you won't." And she's like, "Well, then I'll do it."
Yeah.
Crazy.
Quarterback just in the pocket, first off, no go. I'll do it myself. Just tuck it and run, baby. And she takes that knife, and I love how it all of a sudden devolves, and you see it devolve in the wide shot where it pulls out, and you get to see the motion come through. The Rhaenyra protecting her children, like talking to her, and be like, "It's gonna be okay," and for her to have to like whip around and go, "Oh shit!" And now we get this immediately going from the wide to the 2 close-ups of their faces. And it goes from this room, which the room, they just keep on showing that there's a lot of people in this room. All the players are in this room currently. And then it goes and devolves just to those 2 faces, and just having that sick fucking moment of them talking. And I thought that the previous, or the next on of last episode, that would have been a red herring, where it wouldn't have been Rhaenyra and Alicent. And the fact that it was of "everyone sees who you are now" is one of the coldest lines in this show to date, and it's so good. And then surely enough, you have this intense what feels like a flash, but also like a couple minutes. I'm pretty sure it's around like 90 seconds, 2 minutes of them just close up. The next shot is a wide shot, and it reminds you, holy shit, this is happening in a room of everyone. It is fucking unbelievable. It's so good. And surely enough, that's how you realize how in this episode Rhaenyra did get the upper hand a bit. Even though Aemond got the dragon, they all got to see her as, 1, powerful, where they call her out. 2, she has the backing of Corlys in that scene, literally. And 3, she just took a wound and was like, "I don't care. Get out of here. Like, my children are gonna be fine. Don't deal with this." And make her look like the fool. And it's so good. God damn, like
that shot.
That
that shot of after the scuffle, and you see Rhaenyra with Corlys and the rest of the family, and then you see Alicent standing alone. I think that clearly was indicating, like, where where the
where
power
she stood on the issue,
yeah and
where everybody else stood. on the
Rhaenyra
issue.
has backing and Alicent doesn't in that given scenario. Even the shot of the dagger, kind of harking back to what was it, 2 episodes ago when or 3 when Viserys is showing Rhaenyra that there's that inscription that is like the Song of Ice and Fire, like because Rhaenyra knows there's something more at stake here. One of the things too, like this was like, man, I was like, there's no way like anything's gonna go down here because everyone's there, right? Like there's no way somebody, but like I was just on the edge of my seat, man. And one thing I noticed too was, and again, Viserys is such an interesting, they're all interesting, but Viserys, like in particular, like he's so meek and anemic in so many parts of the story, and it's so, again, just it's so poetic that in this moment he's like very decisive. Like even last episode in the training yard where he kind of lets that scuffle go on too long between Kristen and Harwin, but here when Alicent is technically in the right, he is like swift to call it out and put an end to any accusations and any conflict. So I thought that was very, very poetic and interesting. So after this massive scuffle, and tensions are high, we see Otto visit Alicent in her bedroom, and this is where I was like, because we all knew Otto was a schemy dude. This is where I was like, okay,
she's trained. She's trained. He came in there and he's like, what happened? And she told him what she did wrong.
Yeah.
She's trained. She's a trained dog.
She's trained. She knew that she played the game improperly in that moment, but he's like, okay, I see that. I've seen that spark in you. Like that you're committed to winning this. Gino, what did you think about that scene in particular too? Otto's like, yo, we might have taken the L here, but we got the big dub with the big dragon. Like again, outright like kind of insinuating like a potential civil war here. Like, that's crazy. What do you think of the scene, man?
I first want to mention, I mentioned it earlier, but just Otto being Hand again without it being mentioned, just him showing up as Hand again, I thought was interesting. Rather than someone else being chosen as a Hand. Because of the reason Viserys, I guess, fired him as Hand of the King. It was interesting for him to just be Hand again without anything being said about it. So him coming in the room and then straight back to scheming already. Now I'm Hand. Now I have the power. Now I can start convincing and stuff. We know this guy's gonna die sometime soon. So he's already seeing he's planning the pieces already. They're falling into place for him. He doesn't really care that his grandson lost an eye, because what they gained was a lot more worth what they lost. So I can see that he is one of those people that does not care about the sacrifices he's gonna make to win. Yeah. Now he's seeing that with her. So it's very interesting. There's one character I want to mention too that we haven't talked about.
Go.
I forget his name. The guy that got Heron, what is it, Harrenhal, whatever, killed.
Larys.
Larys.
Yeah.
A little bit of Littlefinger in that guy, huh? A little bit of Littlefinger, huh? Did you guys feel that or no?
Oh yeah.
I felt that.
Oh yeah.
I felt that with him. There's a lot of stuff he's gonna do, I think too. He's already. I think he's a lot of stuff. He's doing a lot of stuff behind the scenes that we don't know about.
Yeah.
He planned for them to die already. And I think he's gonna be someone that they're gonna use a lot as well. Mm-hmm. So that's the High Towers. Him. They're gonna be a lot of schemers there.
Arguably, Otto Hightower most ambitious on the show.
I think smartest too, to be honest with you. One of the
I was about to say, episode 1 of this podcast, I was like, Otto's my guy, and then all of a sudden he was pimping out his daughter, and I was like, Otto's a little bit less my guy. But to go and have him back in the show and be in this fold, once again, like this, I'm gonna say this now. This is my favorite episode thus far in this show. With conversations like this, it just elevates it so much. We have Otto back in the game, and so when he talks about the game, I was like, I don't know if we all know this, but like episode 7 of the main series was the first time it's like you either play the Game of Thrones or you win or you die, and like it's like the name drop. When you play the Game of Thrones, you either live or win or die, or whatever the exact line is.
All-time fumble the bag by Ned Stark, man. And
yeah, right. And so with that, in this moment, the stage gets reset basically of what we're entering, and Otto brings it up, and I freaking love it. Where he's like, "Hey, this is it. Like you already know this. You laid it out to your children," and I think he takes some pride in the fact that he saw the fire because it got to her. The message that he left her with got to her in the end, and she knows it. She knows that, like, all right, we're on the same page now. We should have been on the same page. I do eventually I know that it won't happen, but I want her to apologize for screwing him over in the first place. I know that probably might have already happened beforehand or will not happen because that's just not what they do. But, like, the dude deserves it. Like, he laid it out perfectly years ago. Like, 12 years ago, and she's just like, yeah, like, oh, you were right, just the thanks, by the way, even though I got you fired.
But she was a lot more innocent then, and she was more for the greater good, and now she's realizing everything that he said, like with what's happening with her children and how she needs to protect them and make sure that they get the throne and not Rhaenyra. She's realizing all that stuff is coming true.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think this episode more than ever showed, oh shit, once Rhaenyra gets the throne, we're probably dead. Like, yeah. it got like laid on the line of like, oh yeah, you like,
her kids are already slicing mine.
Yeah, like you called my kids bastards, you're gonna do that again. We know that, and guess what? When they're kings, that's gonna be tyranny, and you're dead. So that drift is already there, and I love that it's so pure. I like Otto once again. Alicent and Otto. I'm just so hard on these Hightowers. I'm sorry, I'm not team incest. Like, my bad, everyone. I will say this: Brett does apparently support incest and all of that team. Anyways, when Nick Evans, I am firmly not team incest. I am team Hightower, and these two are just awesome. This scene's freaking awesome, and I love it every second of it. I love this dialogue more than like. It's so unbelievably good. I'm so excited I listened to a couple other podcasts about this topic. I'm so excited to hear other people talk about this, and I'm so excited to talk to the like 10-ish people in my circle that watch the show religiously and be like, how freaking amazing is this episode? It's not as enthralling as a great battle, but this episode delivered in a way that is now my current favorite of this show, and that's unbelievable that we are 7 episodes in. They're still able to floor me with dialogue like this.
What state do you go to college in?
I jeez. I don't want to dox myself, Brett. I would never. It's
a big state. It's a big state.
I would never ever show which school I go to or something like that. That would be really inappropriate. But no, I'm from Massachusetts. I have no idea what you're talking about when it comes to the back of incest. Okay, that's really odd that you bring up the state I go and currently reside in. Jeez, Brett.
This is where the episode got a little choppy for me. Towards the end here, I all the beats were still hitting for me, but it definitely felt a little choppy. We'll get into it as I go beat by beat here. But Rhaenyra finally shows up again. Rhaenyra not a part of like the last like 20 minutes we just talked about. He is just
doing
entertaining esquires, as Alicent said, right? He finally shows up to Rhaenyra in her bedroom. And essentially he's like, look, I'm committed now. I'm ready. Like,
you know why that's funny?
What?
You know why that's funny?
Why?
I'm ready to be here. Minutes later, none of that he said mattered at all.
That's what I'm saying, where it gets a little choppy for me. But in this moment, he's like, hey, I know I haven't been the best husband, the best dad, but like I'm like we need to like start like really committing, you know, in terms of from his own perspective, like the steps to ensure your succession going forward, which was nice in this moment. Again, like Gina said, he does not actually follow through with that, but in the moment it was nice. I appreciated it again in the moment. Go ahead, Nick.
I think that he did follow through on it.
Yeah,
You're right.
Yeah.
Yes and no. Yes and no. Yes and no. Go ahead, Nick.
Yeah. I think that like this moment for him was, I'm going to do whatever is best for this family, and she says, then basically leave. Like we don't get to see that exact interaction.
Yeah.
But it turns into, what is best for this family is ensuring your children's safety, and the best way to do that is for me to marry Damon, and the only way that happens is if you die.
Yeah,
and so we need to figure out a way for you to die.
Mm-hmm.
But it's funny to think that they didn't have that conversation and he just left. You know what I mean?
I agree. You got me on that one, Gino.
Then, positives. It works out for Rhaenyra.
Yeah, I then we got Alicent readies herself that more must be done. I think this was the boat scene. Alicent and King Viserys are sailing back to King's Landing. Again, Larys is like, look,
traveling with Vhagar now too.
Yeah. Larys is like, yo, I'll kill a kid, bro. Like, you don't think I won't? Like, again.
No. It's not I'll kill a kid. He's like, I'll just take the eye. Like, that's what you want, right? You want me to take an eye?
Take an eye. Yeah.
Which, like, I'm like,
no,
because once again, he is making sure he's covering his ass with everything that's being said. He would never, ever say he would kill a kid. That's not the Queen wishes. What the Queen wishes, though, in that the scene that he saw play out was, hey, eye for an eye. You said those words. If you want me to go do it, I'll do it. This time he kind of asks, where last time he sort of just sent it, which you got to respect the send at the end of the day, even though he's an asshole in the worst. But you got to respect the full send of, hey, you want this guy's gone? I'll just kill my family. It's cool. Don't worry about it. But here we get him going in, being brutally honest and just saying, hey, I'm your guy. Like, I'm down for round 2 whenever you are, of whatever you need. I'm going to be there. And he nails it. He nails his character so well. He's so skeevy. The middle part, and just like, I'm just like, bro, your brother is just, I miss him. And you took him off the playing field, and I hate you for that. But even more, I miss his dad. I loved his dad as the hand. And now that they're both gone, I'm just like, man, I want to love to hate you, but now I just hate you.
Yeah,
okay?
He killed his dad and brother. Not even for his own political gain, but to gain the favor.
He did also get political gain.
Yeah.
But that wasn't his goal. I
think a little bit, like maybe it was 90% for her and then for a favor, but 10% I feel like.
Sure.
I'm saying 50-50. I'm saying that at least 50% was for his gain and that 50% was for
her. You know what? Because he's in love with Alicent.
You think so?
Maybe.
Same as Littlefinger was in love with Sansa. He did everything for her, remember?
Yeah.
Remember? This is the Littlefinger of the show. I'm telling you right now.
I also think that he knows Alicent is not long for this world. And the question... Oh, not Alicent. Oh, he knows Viserys. Jeez. Yeah. He knows Viserys is not long for this world. By the way, I have a train coming by, so if you're in your car listening to this, don't worry. But Alicent knows that Viserys is going to die soon, and he knows Viserys is going to die soon. Everyone knows he's going to die soon. And if not soon, eventually. The dude has to die eventually. He should have died like 3 episodes ago. He's still kicking around. Like, I really, this is a little bit of a non-sequitur. I really hope that the episode 9 big thing is not Viserys dies. Like, that would just be such a putz way to do it. I'm just like, yeah, we freaking knew he was going to die, okay? Give us some other Game of Thrones balling out goodness. And I don't think it needs to be a death. I just think it needs to be high-stakes moments.
I think he'll die, but then it's going to be one of the factions make some big, crazy play, and then the 10 is the fallout, and then we have to wait. That's what I think.
That's the thing, though. I think that the show is set up right now where it's a little game of ping pong where Hightower won the last episode, Targaryens won this episode. I think that Hightowers will win the next episode. I don't know exactly what that means, but they're going to come out on top and make the better move, basically, of the episode. Even though they did get a dragon this episode, so that's a big tilt. That's a good little tilt for them.
Yeah,
but
I wouldn't necessarily say that Rhaenyra got a win. I would just say that they're doing their own setup.
I would say that they got a win in just marrying the two families, which like she now is secured in that, and also she got everyone to see who Alicent was. I think that those two scenes, when we're talking about this episode, like yes, the dragon was a dub, but her son got her eye chopped. Alicent got like completely exposed, and then surely enough, the marriage. I think the marriage is the most important dub at this point, where the validity of her kids. Those two can crank out a kid. That kid will be valid. That kid will be good to go.
And it's not even that relationship because we knew they've been bonded, so to speak, for 10
years.
Rhaenyra's entire life almost, right?
Yeah.
It's tying the Valerians again further to Rhaenyra's side, right? That's like the big because we saw in the little sneak preview, the Valerians are marching in somewhere with Rhaenyra, right? So, going back to Larys, like he is the Littlefinger of this episode, and I don't know how to explain it, Gino, but like I felt like Littlefinger had a little gravitas to how he, schemed, whereas Larys is like just a little more brutal in his actions. You know what I mean? Like Littlefinger would put people in play, but then let them act out what. Just probabilities of what would happen. Like where Larys is like, yeah, I'm just gonna send this guy to kill my dad, right? Like,
which for me,
more sinister and more brutal.
I think it's to the detriment of the show a little bit, where we saw Littlefinger go and build himself and show his colors over 6 seasons, where this guy played his hand in 2 episodes, and that's with the time skips, you're gonna get moments like that. And I mean, I'm so in love with this episode, words can't put to it how amazing of a television show I think this is and how amazing this episode is. But when you compare the two, like Littlefinger and him are the clear 1-2 punch. I think that just like the difference is the build up, especially of just like we just now know this guy's the worst. In one episode, last episode, we got this dude made a crazy large move, which would have taken Littlefinger's years to do.
About? He's the best.
Of course, Vegas was like him. Okay, of course, of course.
He's out here getting shit done.
So next up, we see Rhaenyra and Daemon ally themselves together officially. We get this lovely marriage scene. I thought the costumes in this scene were incredible. It was like this spectrum of like white to red. It looked amazing. Again, I think there was some CG here in the scene, but like the mossy rocks and things like that on the coast, it just looked awesome.
All their kids lined up with their parents, their other parent dead.
Yeah, all the kids lined up. While this like speech is going on of like, again, where I talked about earlier, where Otto is essentially speaking to truth, like the inevitability of a civil war. Rhaenyra is talking to Daemon here, and she's literally like, we gotta like go up against the Greens here, like calling them the Greens. Awesome. But like she's speaking truth to power, like of this inevitable conflict while they get married. So that those, again, House Valerian and Targaryen are even more intertwined here with their fate, whatever it may be. This is where I didn't laugh out loud. I chuckled in these next couple of plot points here. But Laenor dies to Sir Carl. So again, in the moment, I'm like, how much is Daemon paying Carl here to kill his like lover? Like it's gotta be a boatload worth of money. And I was like, man, this guy must have to like pay his, student loans to the, night school or something like that. Like he must be desperate for some coin. But it turns out that it was like a hoax, like you said, Gino, for Laenor to just peace out and dip. Again, he's got like the new fade now.
The new fade.
What did we think about this scene? These sequences of events of
What's
It's-
interesting to me,
Okay.
or you want to go ahead, Vegas?
No.
What's interesting to me was that it was mainly meant to just trick us,
yeah
because who was the audience in this situation?
Yeah.
The one little kid that they ended up killing in the fire. You know who? Because I assume it's the servant that they killed in the fire, right?
yeah
No,
So-
the servant that was watching them that runs and goes and gets help, and then he
I
comes
see.
back in. So I didn't know who it was. I need to rewatch it, but there was
Damon got somebody on the stairs.
okay.
Yeah, Damon got somebody
Right
on the
before
stairs.
that, Damon
Yeah, that's
choked
definitely
somebody
the first.
out on the stairs. That was the
oh
body
okay
That was the
stairs.
body.
okay
That's
But then
the first
so
thing.
only the servant saw it. But oh yeah, so the servant saw that it was
Servant was the
Carl.
witness.
Yeah, he was the witness. Okay.
Yeah, servant
That it was
the
actually
witness
him.
ran away, and so it was just the two of them in the room,
Mhm.
and that's why I was like, oh. Well, for me, the fake out of the audience, I think that there was just a lot of dialogue that we weren't supposed to see to have a payoff moment like that of like, oh, but like even what you were saying when it came to character motivation, I'm like, thank God they didn't kill this dude for multiple reasons. One, I hope he comes up later in the show, Rhaenyra, but also the fact that like it just would not have made sense for any of the characterizations that we have up to this point.
Well,
And I
yeah,
think that
Rhaenyra was giving a speech, and she literally said, "We're going to be like merciful rulers," and then went ahead, and it looked like they just killed this guy, and I'm like, "Well, that ain't it." And then it was like, "Oh, okay."
Which also, like, I knew that she could. You marry someone for 10 years. Hopefully, you got a couple of memories that you look back on fondly where you don't want to murder them. Okay, so like, and also their family at the end of the day. And I know that families murder all the time.
but
Go ahead,
during this sequence of events, Rhaenyra and Damon are talking on this, the speech, and Damon's essentially like, hey, we need a little fear mixed in. We need a little fear mixed in. So that's why I was like, bro, she's killing her husband. Like, dang, just to like shore up this like power base.
Yeah.
So
I think it's meant to almost be like, sure, we have a witness that it was so and so that did it, but it's almost insinuated that somehow they had a hand in this, so it makes them look a little bit more like crazy. Fear, like, you should fear us because we got together in any means possible.
I also think that they were like, we need to go and put on a performance that goes and illustrates that he's gone, like in a way of like, if we're going to do this right, we got to make sure that he is off the table, sort of deal. And by going and having someone burned, like that gets pulled out of the fire and have it be as gruesome as it was, I was like, oh, this poor mother. Like, she just lost her daughter and son in a 1-2 punch.
In
Like,
weeks or months or something like that. Yeah.
Coming hot off of the conversation, whoever this actress is killed it. Because she's coming hot off the conversation with Corlys, and like where she's like, I don't care about the throne. I care about my family. I care about like being safe. I just lost my daughter. Like, now seeing that, it was, oh my gosh, so good. And you're right, that haircut he had, absolutely fresh. Holy crap.
With Rhaenyra specifically, again, we see just a progression of her character from, episodes 1, 2, 3, where she's like, I don't want this, like this duty this obligation is a curse, or now she's like, yeah, let's, quote unquote, fake my husband's death to shore up her power base. So I think that's just like a awesome, seeing that progression, but also, again, they just were married, so I'm assuming it's more of her own agency, but a little bit too, just of the relationship between Damon and Rhaenyra over the years, but just that a little bit of that Damon rubbing off on her in terms of committing a move like that, right?
Yeah, it seems like Damon is at the point where, okay, I was living this meek and mild life, but now I think I do need to get back into the game. And then Rhaenyra is over here like, all my shit just got fucked up. Everybody knows my kids are illegitimate. And, my husband not doing a damn thing. He said he'll do whatever I want. So she found her opportunity and it all just worked out.
Yeah. And then, yeah, that's about it. Looks like we kind of covered the entire episode here.
Gino made it, baby. His internet made it. Woo!
Yeah, man, internet lasted.
Gino's internet lasted. Any closing thoughts, y'all, as we round it out here?
It's nice to see that Rhaenyra has ignited the fire in Daemon once again.
Yeah.
So now he's ready to go to war, you know?
Yeah.
It's nice to see the High Towers are both ready to kick ass, and like I said, I want that next episode. High Tower W, baby. Let's eat W's, baby. We're like, come on, High Towers. Give me not. I don't want a shirt. I want a flag, but also I don't want to be the guy that like puts flags up in his room. So I just want like a private flag that I look at every now and then of House High Tower.
A private flag.
Yeah, that's what I want. My secret shame of being House High Tower, because I mean they haven't done everything all by the book per se, but I'm a big fan of theirs. I really like where they're going.
Yeah. So thanks everyone for watching, listening to this episode. We'll be back next Monday for episode 8, The Lord of the Tides. I wonder what that could be, but very excited to continue potting along with you guys and the audience. Fantastic show. Things are percolating, but yeah, we'll see you guys next week, and thanks for watching and listening.